Hello everyone and welcome back to the Turbo Kino channel. We previously covered The Accidental Detective 2, but today we're going to talk about the first movie, which shows how our duo first met and started solving cases. If you haven't seen the second part yet, I'll leave a link in the comments below. Alright, let's dive straight into the movie. Dae-man sits in a dark room, surrounded by case files, staring at murder photos on his computer while chatting with someone. To anyone watching, he looks like a real detective. While he's deeply focused, a very important voice calls out to him. It's his youngest child crying. His actual job while working with his daughter is running a comic book store. It seems his daughter really keeps him on his toes. She cries all the time, and right after a diaper change, she's at it again. Man, she really puts her dad through the ringer. Just when he thinks she's finally settled, the wailing starts over. Looking like he's been through a war, the exhausted husband starts venting to his wife when she gets home. She's only been back at work for 14 days, but he's already reached his limit. She mentions needing money for their son's tuition and bills, but when she checks the till, it's practically empty. When asked about the money, he stands there clearly lying, claiming he bought new stock. Hasn't anyone told him you can't lie to a wife? She gets furious, telling him to just join the police and yells about the shop being closed. To dodge the heat, Dae-man pinches the baby to make her cry, then uses it as an excuse to usher them out. Once they're gone, he shuts the shop and leaves. Cut to the police station, where two cops bring in a suspect. A rookie named Shinkov runs over, saying Detective Kang is looking for him. You know, the guy who solves everything at a glance. While the cops are confused, our hero walks down the stairs. Shinkov gets chewed out for not knowing the staff after 2 weeks. Our guy acts like he's on the force. During the questioning, Dae-man keeps interrupting from the sidelines and even sniffs the suspect. He claims the guy is innocent and should be freed. The fed-up cop tries to toss him out, but he begs to say just one thing. That's when Detective Noh Tae-soo lets him have his say. It's true this guy was at the sauna, the watch in his pocket proves it, plus his phone just rang. A real criminal would have turned it off. As he's being led out, he asks, "Did you see his shoes? Who commits a crime in slippers? He didn't run because they would have slipped off." He's hauled away as he explains. The suspect looks on, impressed, and puts his slippers on the desk, annoying the detective. The guy was brought in for questioning about a fire at his ex's place. Detective Noh Tae-soo tells his friend not to bring him back, but orders the suspect's release as he leaves. Later, over drinks, his friend warns him that Noh Tae-soo is a legend, a shark, who once took down 3 men with his bare hands. He tells him not to get on his bad side. It turns out our hero took the police exam with his buddy 9 years ago. Sadly, he failed the physical because of a bad knee. As they walk down the street, the subject comes up again. After shouting and screaming, he's caught by the police, but his friend gets him out. Then his phone rings with a message from Yonggi asking to grab a drink. They both know him. The friend doesn't go, saying he has work, and instead goes elsewhere, giving a document to the wife of that same Yonggi. He asks her to keep it a secret until the divorce. The next morning, a hungover Dae-man is woken by a baby's cry. But it's not their daughter, it's the daughter of the man who called the night before. Our guy checks the time and in a rush to leave notices bloodstains as he enters the room. Following the trail, he finds the wife lying murdered on the bed. The police begin their investigation. The friend rushes over and is shocked by the scene. In cases like this, the family is usually the first to be suspected. So the husband becomes the #1 suspect. Since the friend is a cop and close to them, it's clear he doesn't want to believe the husband did it. Because he was with the suspect, Dae-man is also questioned. Neither of them clearly remembers what happened yesterday. The detective friend's name is Joon-soo. From now on, let's call him by his name. How could a man who lost his wife be okay? He was in shock, looking completely devastated. Joon-soo promises, "I will definitely catch the culprit." While lying at home thinking about the case, his wife starts a conversation, asking why such a thing happened. She then asks, "Why did you stay over at their house? Were you that close?" As he starts to get annoyed, he obviously can't win against his wife. While trying to get milk for the baby, he gets hit on the head because of his big mouth. But this actually turns out to be a good thing. He starts to remember yesterday's events. While out getting milk, he runs into the 2 cops showing his photo around at the local bars. The bar owner says he doesn't recognize or remember him, but our guy, having recalled bits and pieces, even mentions the trouble he caused yesterday to prove he was there. Furthermore, the doctor examining the body raises doubts, noting there's blood on the watch but none on the hand. Also, the time of death was 11:20, which is 5 minutes apart from when the watch stopped. In the next scene, Dae-man shows his son how to handle the checkout. teaching him what to say when his mom arrives, and leaves confidently as if entrusting the shop to a grown-up. Meanwhile, at the police station, the section chief treats Detective Tae-soo quite poorly. The detective also gives him a cold look. Actually, Detective Tae-soo was his senior, but he got demoted and ended up working under him. While Detective Joon and Dae-man are in the car, our guy keeps pestering him, saying, "Come on, just tell me what you know," making him so angry that he gets kicked out of the car and even gets soaked by a passing bus. Ha! Left shouting helplessly at the bus. In the evening, when he returns home with his son, his wife tells him to take out the trash. When he asks what she did all day, she says she looked after the baby, cleaned the house, did the laundry, and cooked for them. He quickly says, "I'll go throw this out," and leaves. While he's washing dishes, his wife mentions that people were saying a guy was hanging around outside their house on the night of the crime and tells him to inform Joon-soo. Still annoyed, our guy just brushes it off, saying they probably already know. Things are starting to look suspicious. When Joon-soo arrives at work, everyone stares at him in surprise. During the investigation, money was withdrawn from the victim's account to buy an apartment, and a knife was found in a bag. While the captain interrogates him with a blaming tone, Detective Tae-soo simply asks him to tell the truth. When he denies it, it's confirmed that he is left-handed. After trying to explain to his captain, the captain, who already dislikes him, starts mocking him, and Tae-soo loses his temper and hits him. The captain then says, "If you prove me wrong within 14 days, I'll leave this place," and they seem to reach a verbal agreement. While the older brother is working at his butcher shop, Dae-man visits and asks if he's okay, just as the news reports that a policeman committed the murder but refuses to confess. It's understandable that Detective Tae-soo is furious about the news. While Dae-man is at a bakery asking a woman about a man who was there, Detective Tae-soo walks in. These two can't stand each other, even though they're trying to solve the same case. The woman says when she came home after work, a man was standing at her door, and after she left her phone and went back to work and came back, he was sitting inside his car watching. Feeling suspicious, she says she noted down the license plate number. Our two leads are both busy taking notes in their own notebooks. When the paper with the number is shown, our guy takes it outside and burns it. Since it's crucial to prove their friend's innocence, they'll investigate together. Dae-man keeps insisting on being the driver, and they eventually agree to work together. Because the department head told the others not to help Tae-soo, a junior officer gets caught providing info on the car owner and hangs up while cursing out of embarrassment. Even though he agreed to go together, he tells him to keep his mouth shut, but old habits die hard. Our guy goes to the suspect's house, and after the wife opens the door, he keeps talking until he gets a good smack. Unfortunately, it turns out the man they're looking for has gone abroad for work. That evening, while getting ready for bed, he asks his wife to close the shop for a week so he can investigate his friend's case, and he almost gets killed. The next day, struggling himself, he follows Tae-soo while his baby daughter is crying. It's obvious the detective is about to explode inside. He asks Joon-soo what they talked about when they met that night. He says he asked why a cop should help you secretly. He tried to comfort her, saying, "Don't leave your brother," and that he'd handle the loan sharks, but she said, "Let's talk later," and left in a taxi. However, no matter how much he thinks, he doesn't know who's trying to frame him. When the meeting ends, he gives a letter to give to his brother, telling him not to think bad thoughts and to watch over him. Our guy grumbles again about him thinking of others instead of himself. At that moment, the detective's phone rings and he learns that the suspect's trip abroad was a lie. They find the guy's car and keep bickering while waiting. When he teases him, saying "You're probably whipped by your wife," he acts tough, saying, "No, I'm the boss, but we saw how it really is, right?" This conversation is interrupted by the smell of a dirty diaper. He realizes he forgot the diapers and says, "I'll go get them," leaving the baby behind. Even the way Tae-soo holds the baby is so awkward. Then, that car just drives right past them. Luckily, Dae-man shows up, and they manage to start following it in time. While chasing the person, he's busy cleaning up that poop, complaining about how bad the smell is. When told to feed the baby, our guy wipes his poop-stained hand on the detective's nice-looking coat. When told to throw it away quickly, he rolls up the diaper and tosses it out the window. Well, luckily, they meet the guy. When asked why he went there that day, he says he went to settle a transaction, but no one was home, so he left to meet someone at 10 o'clock. Dae-man observes from the side and calls over the barista. It turns out she's the woman he was supposed to meet at 10. So he turns out to be uninvolved in the case. However, he says there were two people on the woman's balcony. He also begs them not to tell his wife. In the car, when asked how he knew the secret, Dae-man says the bar and coffee shop had the same name and the woman's nervousness was obvious. They both share their thoughts on the two people on the balcony and the victim's arrival time. As Dae-man starts thinking about who those two were, Tae-soo says one was the victim. He easily says the other was the culprit, but Dae-man disagrees because that night the victim couldn't have been there at that time after leaving the suspect. It would take at least 1 hour to go and pick up the baby from his mother, he says, shutting him down. Tae-soo gets annoyed that he can't argue with the logic and adds comments about being a police academy graduate, further testing his patience. He finds out for sure that the victim stopped by the store with the baby at 11 o'clock that night. Our super detective is left speechless. If the suspect's words are true, those two people were definitely waiting for the victim to arrive. The two finally agree on this theory. Wearing a coat like this makes him look like a real detective. Our guy looks in the mirror while he's preparing milk for the baby. His wife asks how he knows that policeman from yesterday. His heart almost jumps out. When she asks who he is, he says he saw him getting out of the car yesterday. He immediately dodges the question, saying he's just a regular customer and doesn't know him well, while his hands tremble. He's about to get caught, but it turns out he's the father of the twin students his wife teaches. She laughs, saying she owes him a pair of rubber gloves and tells him how the detective is controlled by his wife, getting scolded because the gloves don't fit while washing dishes. She tells him to consider himself lucky to be living with her. For our guy, this is very important information. The next day, while cleaning his car, the detective keeps grumbling that the smell of baby poop won't go away. How can he get rid of it when the smell is coming from him? Just then, our fashionista walks through the gate. While eating, Dae-man comes up with another idea, which is that the murder happened elsewhere and the body was moved. But no matter what he says, this time Tae-soo doesn't agree. As soon as they get in the car, he teases him to take off that 5,001 coat since it's not raining, and then he pulls out the rubber gloves as a gift. He says his wife, the teacher, told him to give these to him. 5-0. Poor guy, he always loses. When his wife goes to his workplace to drop off their daughter, Dae-man is, of course, not there. He claims he's out on business and asks her to leave it with the neighbor, but his wife spots his motorcycle outside, knows he's lying, and blows up. He tries to hang up, pretending the signal is bad, but Tae-soo snatches the phone and yells, "I hear you loud and clear. Thanks for the gloves," then hangs up. That's some sweet revenge. The two discuss why they're so henpecked, but it wasn't always this way. Apparently, starting a family changes everything. They figure it's the low pay. Without money, you'll never change their attitude. Let's talk. These brothers in misery start to truly bond and become close. Tae-soo gets a call and they head to a murder scene. The victim's husband is that detective who was just shouting. They find the victim's phone, which contains a photo of her being shoved into an incinerator and burned. While the other cops are brainstorming, Tae-soo grabs Dae-man and heads out. He tells him he suspects both crimes were committed by the same person and theorizes that accomplices carried them out in the same location. He also mentions the suspect isn't who they thought. When Dae-man returns home, his wife is sitting in the dark looking quite eerie. She asks, "Do you want to escape this family? Because I feel the same way," then retreats to her room. The next day at the bookstore, he's scrambling to appease his furious wife. She won't even glance at him. His son asks, "Why won't you talk to Dad? He was crying earlier. Dad's a good guy." His attempt to defend his father only enrages his mother further. Our duo's investigation continues. They start questioning people while showing photos of the victims. As they wonder if there are only two victims, Dae-man brings up a case from 10 months ago. He points out that the timing of that case matches the current ones perfectly. Tae-soo isn't fully convinced, but he notices something as well. It seems our duo still isn't quite on the same page. They visit the detective who handled the case they suspect is related to gather more info. He tells them the case is closed, but it still feels like the investigation was incomplete. As Tae-soo goes to grab the file, he stops dead when he sees a suspect's photo. That same photo was among the records kept by the second victim's husband. Her name is Lee Yoo-na. Dae-man immediately suspects a connection. Tae-soo thinks he's just looking for payback since he's the cop who arrested him, so he dismisses him. When Dae-man shares his theory on the case, Tae-soo tells him he's talking nonsense and completely ignores him. When Tae-soo arrives at work, he's met by a swarm of reporters. They announce that the suspect in the second case has been apprehended. It turns out, just as they discussed, a rookie cop is acting the hero, claiming he caught him nearby and found the victim's blood. Meanwhile, Dae-man is doing everything possible to appease his wife, cleaning, cooking, giving massages. He's a very busy man. Back at the station, they're interrogating the suspect. He explains he dated the victim, but they split. Her husband was having an affair and she wanted a divorce. He's just saying the husband is a very strange man when Detective Ma walks in and it is a total mess. Since the next case in the department is solved, he tells them to get ready for retirement in 5 days and leaves. When Tae-soo apologizes to Detective Ma for the trouble, he asks where he would find Lee Yoona again, whom he caught 5 years ago. Tomorrow, Dae-man lies about going to civil defense training, but as he is leaving, his wife tells him to change and makes him wear his military uniform. Every day is a surprise for Tae-soo. He asks Detective Ma for possible locations and starts searching. Saunas, PC rooms, and so on. When Bhaskar asks how he knew about the case being solved, he says it felt like someone was trying to frame someone else, just like the first case. He also mentions that one of the marks on the neck was definitely a bicycle chain. Tae-soo also speaks up about having the same thought. Detective Ma calls Tae-soo, says he found Lee Yoona's location, and gives him a place. From the moment they enter, it is a creepy, dark place. When they go to the lower floor where a phone is ringing, they find electrical wires hanging in the middle of a pool of water. Realizing this, Tae-soo manages to warn Dae-man, but he himself ends up hanging from a wire over the water. When he screams to cut the power, someone has already locked the door they came through. While a person in danger looks for any way to save their life, the culprit, Lee Yoona, stands there enjoying the scene. Just as they are about to fall into the water, Tae-soo shoots the fuse box and manages to turn off the electricity. Later, he tells him to quit this job because it is life-threatening. Having escaped the danger, our two guys sit there, catching their breath. When told to quit this dangerous job, Dae-man says he cannot abandon a friend who was there for him during the hardest times. They get calls from their wives and head home. Tae-soo is meeting with a shady-looking guy. They are close enough that when he asks for a favor, the other guy agrees. That favor was to find Lee Yoona. The guy then gives the search task to his henchman. At his comic book store, unable to make enough for household expenses and other costs, he is about to sell his collection when his wife catches him. Of course, she already knows everything. He starts pouring his heart out, asking how he could abandon someone who helped him in tough times. He also says he will be a good father after this case, but his wife just says, "Do whatever you want," and leaves. His true sincerity finally shows. That thief calls and says he is going to a gathering. At that moment, Dae-man also calls through the detective on the third case. When our two guys meet and head to the location, he asks why they are meeting, and he says he found the killer. There is another victim, a witness to Lee Yoona's case. The person linked to these 4 cases is Detective Ma. When told the third victim was connected to him, Tae-soo objects, but he mentions how he almost died going to Lee Yoona, as Detective Ma said. Tae-soo is about to explode inside. This is because Tae-soo also suspected Detective Ma, but it turned out he was working at the time. Seeing the two of them coming, Lee Yoona flees, and though they chase him, they cannot catch him. However, they notice a bracelet on his shoe. When they search with a location tracker, even though he was close by that day, he wasn't actually at the scene, and for the other crime, it turns out he wasn't even in Seoul. At the hearing, with no evidence found, he's convicted and given a 30-year sentence. He looks at his brother and screams that he's innocent, but his brother just ignores him and walks out of the courtroom. Outside the court, our two leads catch up with Lee Yoona to try and get some answers. But as they go, they start to suspect there might be more than just 2 criminals involved. While discussing the possibilities like a movie script, Dae-man suggests the possibility of a murder swap agreement. Since they can't kill those close to them, they arrange for someone else to do it, and he mentions there's a third victim too, to commit the murders while one proves their innocence. With all these theories, Tae-soo is nearly driven mad. The theories they're discussing sound like they're writing a movie script. Dae-man lays it all out. Detective Ma is the mastermind behind it all. He theorizes the second and third accomplices are the suspect from the first case and the abusive husband as they discuss how they killed the victims in pairs. Tae-soo cuts off his storytelling and brings him back to the real world. And just like that, a car chase ensues. On the other side, while a woman and a young man are at a golf range, the power is intentionally cut, and in the darkness, the man is struck and knocked down. Elsewhere, another woman leaves her house to go somewhere. When Dae-man goes to her home and asks about her mother, he's told she went to meet her biological father. It's also shown that the message arrived for the woman saying they need to meet right now. Dae-man spots her but can't stop her, so he follows. Meanwhile, Tae-soo arrives at Lee Yuna's location, but she drives her car straight into the water. All the while, Dae-man is calling her non-stop. After struggling to pull her out of the water, he asks who killed the victims and who ordered his own death. Then the scene changes. On the other side, at the place Dae-man went, a woman is thrown down from above, and Detective Ma emerges with Brother Young-ji. So instead of the young man they suspected in the first case, it turns out Brother Young-ji is one of the killers when Detective Ma tells him that he must kill someone as well. While trying to stop him, Dae-man gets severely beaten. Everything unfolded exactly as he had theorized. Detective Ma was the mastermind behind all the crimes. He had even lied about meeting with Joon-soo to manipulate them. Despite being beaten within an inch of his life, he shows his brother the letter his friend had given him. Upon seeing the letter, the brother suddenly has a change of heart and tries to stop it, but he gets beaten as well. Then, just as he's about to be shot, luckily Noh Tae-soo arrives just in time and shoots the villain down. Thankfully, this long night is finally over. The next day, all the news channels are flooded with reports about the murder swap scheme, putting the police commissioner in a very difficult position. Furthermore, the department head who arrested the wrong person is on the verge of losing his job. While poor Dae-man is recovering in the hospital, Tae-soo tells him that he's quit the force to open a private detective agency and invites him to partner up, deciding they'll face their wives together. Dae-man and his wife have a huge argument outside the courthouse about whether or not to get a divorce. The police department honors Dae-man as a brave citizen, and it's all over the news. Meanwhile, his son's friends and their mothers are all busy praising her husband. And so, in this intense thriller, their private detective agency opening up. Thank you for watching today's movie with us. I'm pleased to say that the second part of The Accidental Detective is already available. If you haven't had a chance to watch it, I'll provide the link. Be sure to check out the full version of the movie we're recommending. Thank you for being part of the Turbo Kino channel. Support us by subscribing and liking, and don't forget to hit the bell icon. Until we meet again in the next movie, goodbye.